How are we doing, guys? It's Luke here for SimBoxx, and today I'm delighted to be back behind the camera and delighted even more so to be joined by the British welterweight champion, Harry Scarff. Harry, how are we doing?
How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all good, thanks. And we sit here, as we were just saying a second ago, 10 days out from your first British title defence. I'm sure you're very excited, very eager to get in there. Conah Walker's the opponent, January 25th. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everything you just said. Yeah, dead excited for it, and yeah, eager to get this defense out of the way. That's something I want to do this year. I've lined it up where in my head I want to win that British title outright. So this is just the first one to tick off against Walker, which will be a good bout. Was going to be a good fight as well. You know, he brings it, doesn't he? So I'm excited for it. I'm excited. He's got a bit of he's had some good performances, so he's fresh in everyone's mind, and it'll be a good one to sort of like make a statement in.
Absolutely. No, you won the British title and the Commonwealth title, defeating Echo Essuman back in November of 2023. Tell me about that win, Harry. I know the British title is held in such prestige. A lot of fighters see it as the one belt they want to win. It's often said to be the best looking belt in boxing. So just how proud of you was you of achieving that, becoming British champion, and also tell us about the fight with Echo Essuman and what a great win that was.
Yeah, no, great win. You know, that was like career highlight, winning the Lonsdale belt. It's something, as a kid when you start out boxing, it's something you dream of, and to realize that was something really special. So yeah, made up with that, and that's it. Now just into the defences.
Now, from the outside looking in, I mean, I was ringside for that fight as well. I managed to get media accreditation, so I was ringside in Manchester for that. And I think it's fair to say, Harry, that you went into that fight as the underdog. Eku was on a quite the roll, and it seemed to be he was the one that he was being pushed towards the world title eliminators, which you went on to have and potentially get into world title contention. But you tore up the script there. It wasn't like a fluke win. It was a really good performance and like I say, going in as the underdog, was you always confident that the fight was going to go that way and go in your favor?
Yeah, I was always confident. I'm a confident fighter. I'm confident in my ability. Um, we had, like I said, in the build up to that fight, we had sparred a few times, and yeah, I was just confident of going in there, getting the job done. I don't worry about my fitness or anything like that. My approach is as well. Like, I think sometimes when you're early in your career and certain fighters, they can worry too much about, or fitness, or you can overthink it. But at the end of the day, it's a fight. I've been fighting, training since a kid. I've dedicated myself to boxing through main part of my life really, and I'm experienced. I've been in gyms all around the country. I've sparred all sorts of people. I was a good amateur myself, so yeah,
I think it's fair to say as well, Harry, that fight or that win in particular is kind of grown in stature, given that Echo went on to have, if you look in the boxing news, two of the three domestic fights of the year, Echo was in. He had two great wins in 2024, and I think that kind of shows your victory over him in an even better light without you in having to throw a punch again.
yeah, it has been a bit like that. I mean, I was glad to see him, go on and come back and win because, like I say, we used to spar. He's a decent lad, when it's fighting and it's competitive and than your enemies, aren't you? But he's gone on and done well, and yeah, it's reflected well on me. So yeah,
Yeah, of course. So just the one fight in 2024 for yourself, and that was the IBF final eliminator against Karen Chuck Hadizian. I always butcher that name, but yeah, you went in
yeah, yeah.
the final eliminator. Unfortunately, the fight didn't go your way, but you put up a very good showing. Tell us about that experience and what you've took from that and learning in defeat.
Yeah, I think everything around that fight was a little bit. It was a little bit all over the place, to be honest. I felt like, Wasserman won the purse bids. I signed with Wasserman. They were, made me promises and whatnot, and they won the purse bids for that fight, but then didn't meet the IBS deadline with getting a date and a venue set for the UK. So, that wasn't great. And then on the back of that, it went to the Germans who were runners up in the purse bids,
Mhm.
and then the Germans wanted to speed it through, and obviously it went to Germany, and and then it went really quite under the radar for saying it was it was a big fight. You know, if you look at it, it was a big fight on paper, but you know, it didn't get much of a push, sort of like, and it got overshadowed. It was the same weekend. Well, it was on the was it the day before? It was the day before Fury and Usyk won. You know, and it got very much overlooked as a fight, and you know, it was in a small venue in Germany. But we took a little army out there, made some noise and that, and but yeah, I think camp could have been better. A few problems in camp, and everything around it was just a little bit negative. And these things can frustrate you as a fighter. You know, when it's got when you want to be happy going into the old cliche in boxing, happy fighter, dangerous fighter, and all that. And you know, there was multiple problems surrounding that fight, and yeah, went in and I think I was about up until about halfway, and then I think he just sort of like nicked it down the stretch. But it was a good fight, good level. You know, these Ukrainians, we've only just seen it, haven't we, with Usyk, and you know, you've got the like you had the other one, the lad at super welter who just boxed Ishmael Davis. Can't think of his name. Yeah, that's it. You know, like these are the they're the number ones in their weight and as Ukrainian boxers, and it's the same as Karen Chkadizan in my one. You know, so I think for that level, you need everything to be bang on, and I think that's something that I took away from it. And yeah, it was a decent fight, but you know, I didn't feel like I was at my best.
And again, it's another fight in Karen Chukadzeyan. His performance that he went on to have in his second fight with Boots Ennis, he gave him a bit of trouble there, and you was competitive, and it's shown that you kind of, you know, as much as this is a British title defense coming up, but that you've mixed it at, you know, fringe and world level, and kind of does that give you more confidence to see how you performed at that level, and now the fighters that you fought against have gone on to perform in future fights?
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got to look at that. I mean, look at the Boots fight. It was a competitive fight. He was giving him up until that point. No one wanted to go near Boots, and then after the Chikadizan 2 fight, you know, people have been calling his name out now because he went in and you know he took rounds off him. It was close. It was quite a close fight. That was. It was a good fight. So you know, for saying how I was going into the fight with Chikadizan, you know, nothing away from him, but it wasn't my best. And I think that just shows, yeah, that, you know, I am world level and I belong at world level. And that's something I'm going to look forward to showing here against Walker.
Absolutely. Now that fight, of course, as we say, took place in May. You wasn't able to get out again in 2024. Tell us a little bit about that, Harry, and the reasons behind, you know, maybe the frustrations of not being able to get out and not being able to make this first defense of the British title.
Yeah, we're just waiting on a date from waiting on a date really from Wasserman and that, and you know, nothing was really coming up. wasn't really feeling the love. So since split with them, and then yeah, this opportunity's popped up. So, but I think it's I've also moved gyms as well. So I've changed my training setup. So I'm up at Steel City now in Sheffield. So it's a good gym. It's just freshened things up for me. You know, I've had a great career with Clifton in Derby, but I just needed something, you know, just to freshen it up. Been there a long time. You know, there's not many pros in the gym or around Derby and surrounding areas. So it was like, you know, I felt like in my head I'd made the decision, and you know, once you got something in your head, you've got to do what's right for you, especially in this sport.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of swapping trainers there, as you say, and you linked up at Steel City, did you shop around a little bit? Did you have a little nosy around with other trainers, or was you adamant that was the trainer that was the setup for you up at Steel City in Sheffield?
No, I had a good think. Like I had a good think about it, and then you know, went up for a trial, if you like. You know, test it out, test the waters, and I just enjoyed it. I felt like everything was clicking. I think as a boxer, when you talk to a trainer and you can soon understand, like, or you go on the pads with them, you can soon figure it out if you know if they're talking if they know what they're on about. Yeah, like, and I felt like it's a good setup, good gym. I'd been up there sparring before. I'd seen the setup, the way they work a little bit, and then you know yeah, really impressed with it up there, to be honest.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, we'll move on from the negatives of not getting a second fight in 2024. And what better way to start a new year than being out in January? And usually, January can be quite a quiet month in boxing, but given that there's so many promoters and platforms, that there's dates throughout the year now, isn't it? There's no quiet time, it seems. So, January 25th, Conor Walker. We touched on it earlier, but yeah, just tell us about Conor Walker. I believe there was an amateur fight between you two, so you know him from back in the days. You've been sparring and stuff like that with Conor, or is this the
Yeah,
first?
no, never. Yeah, no, never sparred, but we boxed. We boxed as amateurs, and yeah, I mean, long time ago, amateur fight. But I think I was the level above that night, and I'll show that I'm the level above still. Um, and then yeah, no, he's a good fighter. He brings it. You know, he's a decent lad. He's messaged me over the years when I've had big fights, and offered me support and whatnot. And then he stepped up, and I stepped down in weight, and then it's happening now. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be a really good fight.
We keep popping out a couple of cliches during this interview, but one of the old cliches is styles make fights, and Harry Scarff and Conah Walker can only produce fireworks, surely. No one's going to take a backward step there.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's it. But I think, to be honest, nothing away from Conor, but I feel like I can box this fight however I want to box this fight. I think I do everything that little bit better than he does, or a lot better than he does in some aspects. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight for me.
Do you think this is a fight that you could end inside the distance?
I don't know, like if that happens, it happens. I'm not got the most knockouts on my record, but I am punching hard, and I feel like hurting sparring partners, and since moving up to Steel City, working with Pierce Gudgeon, he's been focusing on that, sitting down on the punches. There's some good punchers in that gym as well, and I feel like that is somewhere I have improved. So that is something I look forward to showing people as well. Yeah. So if he walks into, it's a long time. 12 rounds is a long time to be walking into big shots. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Now, we do look forward to Jan 25th and that big fight with Conor Walker. While I've got you, Harry, if I can just get your thoughts on a couple of other things. And today there's the launch press conference for Lewis Crocker against Paddy Donovan, another big welterweight clash. Give us your thoughts on that fight and who would you side with?
I think that's a good fight. I think that's a good fight. I don't know who I side with though. I think Crocker's probably got the experience, Annie. Donovan's he's a bit younger, maybe a little bit more inexperienced. And I'd probably edge towards Crocker, but I want to impress with Crocker like when he boxed Walker. But I don't know if that was him. I don't know if that was him. Just getting caught upon his power a little bit. I think he would just hold his feet, trying to knock people out, and you need a little bit more than that when you go up through the levels. So but Donovan's a good fighter. Like it's a good fight, and it's an all Irish clash. So that's going to be a good one. But yeah, maybe just edge Crocker in that one.
Do you think
We've got a couple of we've got a couple of I think got a mutual opponent in Louis Green, me and Crocker. I
Mhm,
remember watching him box Louis Green before I boxed Green,
mhm.
and and that was a good fight. I remember watching that thinking, you know what, Louis Green's on some smoke here. Like he was giving it to him in that fight. It was a bit nip and tuck for times, and then I thought, all right, I've got these little 8 ounce gloves on. I'm just gonna box his ears off and won every round against him. So we might see that against Walker as well.
Absolutely. Now with Crocker and Donovan, I know you've got your eyes set on potentially maybe winning the British title outright, but would a fight with with the winner of that fight make sense for Harry Scarff in later in 2025?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm open to any fights. I think I've shown that in my career before. When I boxed Fowler, boxed Troy Williamson at like a week and a half's notice, and got done on the scorecards in that one. And I've even the last fight, I jumped straight in against Chikadizan. I'm just a confident fighter, and I'll fight anyone. So yeah, these are the fights I want to be involved with, though. These kind of domestic You know, even though it's Ireland, but yeah, it's still a domestic clash, isn't it? You know, and these are the ones. That's why it's good to get on the Matchroom show and on DAZN. You've got Queensberry coming over to DAZN as well. So you know, all the fights are there to happen, and you know, Turki Al Sheikh, he's going to get involved in the welterweight division at some point. And you know, I'm just open for all these opportunities, and then can give the fans good nights.
In
And
terms of Turki Al Sheikh and his involvement with Riyadh season, of course, we had the official announcement this morning. Although we haven't got a set date or location, it's looking likely it's going to be April in the UK. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn finally settling the score. Your thoughts on that one, Harry?
yeah, I think I thought this had happened. I remember I did an interview the other day, and I thought it's the biggest fight for both of them, isn't it? And it's a fight that needs to happen. I feel like you know all the Barrios fight talk from Ben was all a bit smoke and mirrors to try and get it across the line. I mean, not that I think he should be in line to fight for the world title anyway, when he's had two fights since failing his drug test up at super welter against no names really, and then can what get straight in for a welterweight world title. That doesn't sit quite right with me, but I do think it's a good fight in it. And then Eubank didn't come off a massive win either, so they're both at a similar level, and it just made sense to do. I think they both want to cash in a little bit, and yeah, it's a good fight. It's going to sell well. Good domestic. Well, it's a massive domestic fight, isn't it? You know, with the names and everything that goes with it. You know, it's exciting. So I think for me though, I think I'd like to see Eubank win, and I think he will win.
Yeah, it's almost
That's
like
my
he's almost took the people's vote now, hasn't he? Since the whole uproar about the failed drug test and what went on with Conor Benn, and there's a lot of confusion there. It seems that Eubank's gone from the antagonist to the hero in that scenario.
yeah, a little bit. I don't know. I mean, Ben's not my cup of tea, to be honest. I mean, he's all right. I've been down and sparred him before and done a bit of work down there. And I think it's just that all the carry on. It's always the same sort of carry on. You know, you failed this drug test. You've had all that stuff that's gone on. You know, and has he cleared his name? Hasn't he cleared his name? No one. He hasn't. Let's have it. Let's have it right. You know, he hasn't. There's nothing there that's saying you have or you didn't fail this test, is there? So you know, for me, that's all a bit of a shambles as well. But since he's had the fights in America weight above and he hasn't looked as explosive, so I think there's question marks around that. And I just think I'm just all the ethics sort of like giving it the big one is a bit jarring as well. Like and I was on about it to someone the other day. I was saying like at least Eubank Jr. did it the proper way. You know, he won the British title on the way through. I mean, Conor Benn's never done that. So I think yeah, like it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good build up and everything else. But yeah, I think Eubank should win, and I hope he does win.
Wicked, wicked. So yeah, Harry, I appreciate your time today. Is there a last message to your fans, to your followers, what they can expect come January 25th?
Yeah, you're just going to see the best Harry Scarff. It's going to be a good performance. Thank you for everyone who's bought a ticket. The support's been great from Derby just after Christmas as well. People, spending their hard-earned money to come and watch. That it don't go unnoticed or unappreciated by me. And yeah, I'm going to put on a show for everyone.
Absolutely. Well, Harry, I wish you the very best of luck for January 25th, guys. Thanks for watching the interview with Harry here on SimBoxx, and make sure you stick with us, hit that comment button, that like button, that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one.